Every man thinks chasing a woman will win her over. But the more you chase, the faster she runs. The real question is, how do you make her crave you, even obsess over you, without lifting a finger to chase? That's what you're about to learn today. If you've ever been ignored, ghosted, or treated as an option, this will change how you see attraction forever. The foundation of desire is not built on effort, but on control. A man who chases a woman with desperation is not seen as admirable or powerful, but as predictable and weak. The moment you begin to pursue with eagerness, you reveal that her attention holds more value than your own presence, and this imbalance destroys attraction at its root. Power, in every human interaction, comes from positioning yourself as the one who sets the terms, not the one who bends to them. When you chase, you surrender control. You allow her to dictate the rhythm of the relationship, the pace of communication, the availability of intimacy. She becomes the prize, and you are reduced to the role of a servant begging for her approval. Yet the truth is simple. No woman becomes obsessed with a man who is easy to have. She becomes obsessed with the man who refuses to give himself freely, who forces her to earn fragments of his attention, and who makes her work for every ounce of his validation. The psychology behind this is ancient. Human beings, by nature, value what is scarce and dismiss what is abundant. A man who is always there, always answering quickly, always seeking to please, is like water from a tap, useful, but ordinary, never craved. But the man who withholds, who does not reveal himself fully, who does not rush to please, is like a rare wine, difficult to find, and therefore treasured. By controlling how much of yourself you reveal, you elevate your worth in her eyes. This is why restraint is more powerful than pursuit. If you control your impulses, you send a message you do not need her, you do not rely on her validation, and you will not lower yourself to earn what should naturally be drawn to you. Women sense this control instinctively. A man who can walk away, can remain silent when others would beg, who can maintain composure under the weight of temptation. This man radiates power, and power is magnetic. Consider how quickly attraction dies when you give everything away too soon. The man who showers a woman with constant compliments, who demands her attention with endless messages, who makes himself available at every hour, is unknowingly telling her that he has no control. He is telling her that her presence is more important than his time, that her validation is worth more than his dignity, that she holds the crown in the dynamic. She may entertain him, she may enjoy the attention, but she will never become obsessed with him. Obsession does not grow in certainty. Obsession grows in mystery and restraint. When you refuse to chase, you create tension. Tension is the most powerful force in attraction because it unsettles the mind. She begins to wonder why you are not pursuing her the way other men do. She begins to question whether she has your full attention or whether you are too focused on your own path to care. This questioning turns into curiosity. Curiosity turns into desire, and desire, when left unsatisfied, turns into obsession. Control is not about coldness for the sake of cruelty. It is about discipline, about resisting the natural impulse to give too much of yourself away too quickly. Every word you speak, every glance you offer, every ounce of attention you provide must be calculated. You must learn to measure your presence the way a king measures his gifts. A true king does not hand out treasures freely to the crowd. He distributes them carefully, selectively, so that each gift feels rare and unforgettable. You must do the same with your attention. The art lies in balance. You do not ignore her completely, for absence without taste creates indifference. Instead, you give just enough to keep her invested, then retreat to remind her of your independence. A look that lingers, followed by a deliberate silence, a compliment that touches her deeply, followed by days of indifference. A night of intimacy, followed by distance that makes her long for your presence again. In this rhythm of giving and withdrawing, you establish control. You dictate the tempo of the connection. And in doing so, you force her to chase the very validation she once assumed would be hers without effort. This is where most men fail. They confuse attention with influence. They believe that the more they give, the more they will be desired. But the opposite is true. The more you give without control, the more she loses respect, and the more ordinary you become in her mind. Influence is never about abundance. It is about scarcity, about control, about restraint. It is about creating a void that only you can fill, and then choosing carefully when to fill it. The essence of power and attraction is simple. Do not surrender control by chasing. Control yourself first, and through that control, you control her desire. Scarcity has always been the weapon of those who understand human desire. What is easily available is rarely valued. What is common is overlooked. What is abundant is taken for granted. But the moment something becomes rare, when it becomes difficult to obtain, when it seems uncertain whether it can ever be possessed fully, the human mind shifts into obsession. A woman is no different in this regard. Her attraction is not ignited by a man who gives himself away without resistance, but by the man who makes himself scarce, the man who is not easily reached, the man whose attention is treated like a rare treasure rather than a free gift. When you are always present, always answering quickly, always seeking her approval, you strip yourself of the very thing that could make her desire you. Mystery. She does not have to wonder where you are, what you are doing, or who else might be occupying your time. She knows you are available. She knows she has your attention. She knows she has secured your interest. And once certainty is established, desire fades. A woman cannot become obsessed with what she already fully possesses. Obsession grows only when she feels she does not yet own all of you. Scarcity works on a psychological level. The human brain places value on things that are rare because rarity signals importance. Diamonds are not admired for their utility, but because they are rare and difficult to obtain. A king is revered not because he is the most kind, because his presence is scarce and unreachable to the common man. Likewise, when you make your time and energy scarce, when you carefully control when and how much of yourself you reveal, she begins to place greater value on your presence. Each interaction feels significant because it is not guaranteed. Each word you give her feels heavy because it is not freely poured out. She becomes addicted to the moments you allow her into your world because she never knows when the door will close again. This scarcity does not come from games, but from discipline. You must train yourself to resist the urge to be constantly available. The average man floods her with attention, desperate to prove his worth. He texts without pause. He calls too often. He adjusts his entire schedule around her whims. He becomes ordinary in her eyes because he sacrifices his own value to place her above himself. But the man who creates scarcity, the man who withholds, the man who maintains his own rhythm and refuses to be consumed by her presence is the man who commands her desire. Scarcity also awakens a primal instinct in women, the instinct of pursuit. When something is scarce, the mind begins to chase it. Think of a marketplace where a rare item is put on display. The crowd gathers, people fight over it, not because they need it, because they fear losing it to someone else. Scarcity breeds competition. And in the same way, when your attention is scarce, she begins to feel urgency. She begins to sense that your presence is not guaranteed, that your attention may shift elsewhere, that she must secure you before another woman does. This sense of urgency drives her deeper into obsession. Your scarcity must be consistent. It is not enough to disappear for a day, only to return the next with desperation. True scarcity is a way of being. It is a man living in his purpose, occupied with his own ambitions, unavailable to waste time on trivial pursuits. A man who is not constantly chasing, but instead commanding, creating, building. His time is naturally scarce because it is devoted to things greater than temporary distractions. A woman feels this. She senses when your absence comes from weakness and when it comes from strength. If you are silent because you are sulking, she loses respect. If you are silent because you are consumed by your mission, she grows addicted to the mystery. Scarcity is not cruelty. It is not coldness for the sake of being cold. It is the deliberate creation of distance that intensifies connection. A glance from across the room is powerful precisely because it is not constant. A message that comes after days of silence carries more weight than 50 messages in a single night. A brief touch, followed by withdrawal, lingers in her memory longer than hours of desperate physical contact. Scarcity makes every act significant. Scarcity makes you unforgettable. The paradox is that by giving less, you create more. By withholding your attention, you make her seek it. By controlling your availability, you make her crave your presence. By refusing to hand yourself over freely, you make her fight to earn what others could never touch. She begins to replay every interaction in her mind, dissecting your words, questioning your silence, searching for meaning in every detail. She becomes addicted not because you gave her everything, but because you gave her little and left her wanting more. Scarcity creates a void inside her. That void grows as she wonders why you are not chasing her like the others. It grows as she senses your independence, your ability to walk away, your refusal to be consumed. And as that void grows, so does her obsession. She cannot stop thinking about you because she has not fully captured you. She cannot move on from you because you remain an enigma. She cannot escape you because the very lack of your presence makes you omnipresent in her thoughts. Attraction is not sustained by the body alone, but by the mind. A man who believes that physical pursuit is enough to secure a woman misunderstands the true battlefield. The body is temporary, desire fades quickly when it is satisfied, but the mind, once captured, becomes a prison from which she cannot escape. Emotional manipulation, when executed with precision, holds far more power than any physical chase. It binds her thoughts to you even in your absence. It chains her emotions to your presence even when you are silent, and it makes her crave you in ways she cannot logically explain. Women live within their emotions. Their decisions, their attachments, their obsessions are not born from rational calculation, but from how a man makes them feel. This is where emotional manipulation becomes the highest weapon. When you learn to stir her emotions, to give her highs and lows, to create a rhythm of comfort followed by uncertainty, you transform her from a woman who simply desires you to a woman who is addicted to you. Desire seeks satisfaction. Addiction seeks no end. That is why the man who manipulates her emotions is far more powerful than the man who merely chases her body. To achieve this, you must first understand the subtlety of words. Words are not to be spilled carelessly, but crafted with precision, like daggers that cut and caress at the same time. Speak in ways that ignite her imagination rather than giving her certainty. Do not tell her everything she wants to know. Allow questions to remain unanswered, statements to remain unfinished, silences to stretch longer than expected. Each pause forces her to fill the void with her own thoughts, and in doing so, she invests her emotions into you. She begins to analyze, to replay, to wonder what you truly meant. The more she questions, the deeper she falls into your control. But words alone are not enough. Silence is your greatest ally. Most men fear silence. They rush to fill the empty spaces with chatter, compliments, confessions, and desperate reassurance. Yet silence, when wielded with mastery, becomes unbearable for her. She begins to question why you have withdrawn, what you are thinking, whether you still desire her. That uncertainty gnaws at her mind, planting seeds of doubt that grow into longing. Every moment of silence magnifies your presence in her thoughts. You do not chase her physically because you already possess her mentally. Emotional manipulation also thrives on contrast. Give her moments of validation, then retreat into distance. Make her feel deeply desired in one instant, then appear indifferent the next. This fluctuation creates instability, and instability heightens emotional attachment. When she never fully knows where she stands with you, she invests more energy in trying to secure your approval. She will cling harder, fight for more of your attention, and work tirelessly to regain the comfort you selectively provided before withdrawing it. In this push and pull, she becomes tied to you, addicted to the roller coaster you orchestrate. Understand that obsession is not born from constant pleasure. If you only provide pleasure, she becomes complacent. But if you provide both pleasure and uncertainty, if you blend moments of closeness with doses of withdrawal, if you let her taste intimacy, but not consume it fully, you create a hunger that does not fade. She will not simply want you. She will need to resolve the tension you created. And in her attempts to resolve it, she becomes consumed by you. Emotional manipulation also requires dominance of frame. You must maintain the position of control in every interaction. If she tries to provoke you, do not react with anger or desperation. Respond with calmness or at times with nothing at all. The absence of reaction is more powerful than the most passionate response. It communicates that her attempts to sway you are futile, that her emotions do not dictate yours, that you remain untouchable. And the more untouchable you appear, the more she desires to touch you. Another layer of manipulation lies in the use of selective intimacy. You do not have to reveal your full affection to make her feel desired. Instead, you must offer glimpses, fragments, pieces of your vulnerability that make her believe she has reached a side of you others cannot access. Then, just as quickly, you withdraw it. She will crave to experience that intimacy again, to unlock the side of you she fears she may lose forever. You allow her to feel special, then you take it away. This is not cruelty, it is strategy. The greater the contrast, the deeper the obsession. A man who masters emotional manipulation becomes unforgettable because he does not merely occupy her bed. He occupies her thoughts. She can avoid a man's presence, but she cannot escape her own mind. And if you are lodged within it, if you are the constant question she cannot answer, you are the storm that unsettles her peace. She will never be free of you. This is where true control lies, not in chasing her, not in giving her everything she desires, but in giving her just enough to make her desire uncontrollably what you choose to withhold. The greatest mistake a man makes with women is placing them on the throne while he kneels at their feet. The moment you pedestalize her, the moment you treat her as the ultimate reward, you surrender the very power that could have made her obsessed with you. Attraction is never born from desperation, it is born from perception, and perception is shaped by who is seen as the prize. If she believes you are chasing her, if she senses that your life revolves around her, then she becomes the one who decides your worth. But if you hold yourself above the masses, if you make her feel that she is competing for your approval, then the roles reverse, and she begins to chase you. To position yourself as the prize, you must first internalize a truth: women do not become obsessed with men who are easily possessed. They become obsessed with men who stand apart, men whose presence carries weight, men who cannot be fully claimed, no matter how close they seem. You are not to act like a beggar hoping for affection. You are to act like the rare jewel in a crowded market, the one object so valuable that people fight endlessly to grasp it, yet only few are ever allowed to hold it. When you position yourself this way, her desire becomes relentless because she no longer sees you as another man in her orbit. She sees you as the prize she must secure before another woman does. The key to achieving this position lies in the way you carry yourself. A prize does not seek attention, it draws attention naturally. Prize does not beg to be chosen, it forces others to prove themselves worthy. In your words, in your demeanor, in your actions, you must demonstrate that you are not moved by the desire for approval. You must radiate the aura of a man who chooses carefully, who gives sparingly, who values his own time above all. This aura alone creates the first layer of obsession, because it places her in the position of pursuit. When she feels that she must earn your attention, every interaction becomes magnified. A simple compliment from you will strike deeper than 1,000 from a desperate man. A brief touch from you will be remembered longer than hours of affection from someone ordinary, because you have elevated your value through scarcity and control. Every small piece of validation you give her becomes priceless, and the more priceless it feels, the more she will fight to secure more of it. Positioning yourself as the prize also demands mastery of uncertainty. A woman who feels that she has fully conquered a man, that his devotion is guaranteed, that his loyalty is absolute, will eventually take him for granted. Certainty kills desire. But when you place yourself beyond full reach, when you let her taste intimacy, but never allow her to hold you completely, you create an endless chase. She believes she is close, but not close enough. She feels she has your attention, but not fully. She senses your affection, but also your indifference. This tension keeps her bound to you, because the thought of losing you creates more fear in her than the comfort of possessing you creates satisfaction. It is also vital that you embody qualities that others admire. A prize is not simply rare, it is valuable. Your presence must signal strength, independence, ambition, and discipline. You must show that your life is not defined by her, but by a greater mission, and that your path continues with or without her. This detachment does not push her away, it pulls her closer. She sees you as a man who cannot be easily swayed, a man whose attention is not cheap, a man whose presence is a privilege. And in that realization, she begins to view herself not as the one in control, but as the one seeking to be chosen. The more she invests in earning you, the deeper her obsession grows. Each effort she makes binds her to you. The more energy she expends trying to secure your commitment, the more desperate she becomes to justify her investment. This is the psychology of pursuit. Humans do not value what costs them nothing, they value what demands sacrifice. By positioning yourself as the prize, you force her to sacrifice her time, her attention, her emotions, and even her pride. And with each sacrifice, she grows more attached because she cannot bear the thought of losing what she has worked so hard to win. The prize mentality also requires that you remain unpredictable. Do not become a man whose every move is easy to anticipate. One day offer warmth and intimacy. The next retreat into indifference. At times, grant her affection without condition. At other times, let her fight to earn it. This unpredictability mirrors the nature of rare treasures, sometimes visible, sometimes hidden, always difficult to possess fully. It keeps her on edge, and this edge sharpens her obsession. To be the prize is not arrogance, it is strategy. It is the deliberate choice to live as a man whose value is self-evident, whose time is precious, whose presence is not easily bought. It is the rejection of the weak posture of pursuit and the embrace of the higher ground, where she must ascend to meet you. When you hold yourself in this position, when you refuse to lower your value by chasing, when you carry yourself as the rare object of desire, she does not merely want you, she becomes consumed by the fear of losing you, and that fear binds her closer than any physical pursuit ever could. Would you like me to now combine all 4 expanded keynotes with intro, hook, and conclusion into one complete flowing script for you? The truth is simple, yet most men will never grasp it. Women do not become obsessed with those who chase them, who worship them, who hand over their value like coins to be spent. They become obsessed with the man who controls himself, who makes his presence scarce, who conquers her mind before ever pursuing her body, and who positions himself as the prize she must win. Such a man does not beg, he does not plead, he does not lower himself in pursuit of temporary affection. He stands firm, disciplined, untouchable, and by doing so he forces her to bend toward him. Desire is not born from abundance, but from scarcity. Obsession is not created by giving her everything, but by giving her just enough to leave her restless and craving more. Power and attraction does not come from proving your worth to her. It comes from making her prove her worth to you. When you live by this truth, you rise above the ordinary men she forgets, and you become the one man she cannot erase from her mind. She will not simply desire you, she will need you, and in that need, she will be bound to you completely. Do you want me to also craft a quote, style one-liner LE in Machiavellian tone, that can serve as the final punchline for the script, almost like a signature closing statement?